The act of getting on a plane has become almost second nature in Europe. The growth of the air transport network has been remarkable, enabling more people to fly to more destinations than ever before. But our desire to travel, to do business and meet family and friends has an environmental impact. To tackle this, the aviation industry has pledged to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Getting to net zero will be a huge challenge, which will mean looking at every aspect of air transport to try and reduce emissions. Sustainable aviation fuels will deliver the biggest gains. But we also need to make immediate progress on operational efficiencies. One of the ways we can fly more sustainably is by using more direct airspace routes. The European Green Deal in December 2019 identified the Single European Sky as one of the key measures to help achieve significant reductions in aviation emissions. What is the Single European Sky? It is a program first conceived 2 decades ago to improve European airspace safety, environmental impact, capacity and costs. It is looking to reform the organization and governance of Europe airspace and integrate new technologies. There are big environmental gains to be made. Compared to the optimum, current trajectories of all flights in the European region in 2019 entailed an additional 6 to 10% in CO2 emissions. This corresponds to at least 11.6 megatons of CO2 emissions that could have been avoided. Let's look at some example city pairs: Madrid-Stockholm, Munich-Las Palmas, Warsaw-Barcelona, and Paris-Rome, and compare the situation in 2019 to what it could be in 2030 if the SES is in place. Eurocontrol statistics suggest that for 12,800 annual round-trip flights between these 4 city pairs, we would see a reduction of 7,900 tons of CO2. For Paris-Rome, per year with the SES implemented, there would be a CO2 reduction of 3,200 tons. For Munich-Las Palmas, there will be a CO2 reduction of 3,100 tons. For Warsaw-Barcelona, a CO2 reduction of 780 tons. And for Madrid-Stockholm, a CO2 reduction of 820 tons. Unfortunately, achieving these emissions costs is not so simple. For more than 15 years, EU member states have systematically pushed back against reforms. Unless urgent action is taken, the 2030 targets will be missed. The extra route distance, which causes the wasted emissions, is often because aircraft are crossing national boundaries. Each country has its own air traffic control organization and multiple airspace control centers. This makes routes and traffic management inefficient. The SES imagines much greater coordination of airspace across Europe and eliminating many of these unnecessary borders in the air. But the national air navigation service providers don't want to give up on their monopoly control. Vital environmental gains are being stopped by narrow national self-interest. Unless Europe's politicians get a grip, we will lose a significant environmental win, and the route to net zero carbon will be much harder. This is the crucial time. The EU institutions are discussing the next steps on the SES now. Despite a strong commitment from the European Parliament, representing EU citizens, we are seeing EU members making excuses not to act. If EU states want to be serious about CO2 reduction, they should stop opposing the SES. If you care about a greener, safer, better connected Europe, then you care about the Single European Sky. Find out more about how to help us change the airspace for the better at www.iata.org/changetheair.